Hello my frugal friends, welcome back to our place and welcome to week 3 of our low spend November pantry challenge, where we are capping our family's grocery budget to $50 a week for our family of 4, because we are focusing on using up all of the things that we already have on hand in our freezers and our pantry, and of course all of the perishable stuff that we are picking up each week that is in our fridge. But the aim of the game is to spend as little as we can. We're aiming to go as close to $50 a week as we can, and focusing on using up all of the things that we already have, predominantly in the freezer and the pantry. Now this is week 3, so if you'd like to see what we got up to in weeks 1 and 2, I will link those up above. But this week basically it came down to 2 things. It was hot, so we did a few salads, plus I did some bulk cooking, which is what you're going to see in this video. So let's jump in, let's take a look at what is in the fridge and the freezer, then we're going to go grocery shopping, and then you can see what I pull together from the things that we already have on hand. So let's jump in and get started. Alright you guys, well it is time to get ready to go grocery shopping again. So we're having a quick look at what we have here in the fridge still left over from last week and previous weeks to use up. So still got lots of yogurt here, so we are good in that department. I do have the green curry paste, which I opened last week, which we will want to use up and make sure that that doesn't go bad in the fridge. A little bit of sour cream, some spreads and bits and pieces there at the back to use, crushed garlic, mustard, all of that sort of good stuff. Here we've still got quite a bit of cheese, so I actually didn't even touch the block from last week, so we've got a whole block of cheese, so we're going to hold off on cheese this week. I think still a little bit left in that block, and we have a few slices here that are ready to go into some sandwiches or wraps or something along those lines. One tiny bit of tomato that could be used in an omelette or something like that. Right at the very back there we have garlic and ginger that have come from HelloFresh kits. They are pretty old, but they're still good. I mean, I haven't had a HelloFresh kit since whenever I did that video, which I think was quite a few weeks ago. But I probably want to think about doing something with these. Oh, they've gone yucky. So yeah, that's what happens with that stuff. Gets hidden at the back of the fridge. Not good. All right, eggs. Lots of eggs still. That's a full dozen. We didn't really do anything with eggs last week, so I'm going to want to do something with them this week. Some tuna that we've been using in wraps for sandwiches. That's some sort of leftover something from dinner, so somebody will be having that for lunch today. Some baby spinach, so I've got heaps of that to be used up. Down in the drawers, not a lot. I've only just opened this packet of carrots, so we still do have basically 2 kilos of carrots and not very much of anything else. Lots of frozen stuff here in the freezer that you guys would have seen me pick up. So we've got lots of frozen veggies, just not a lot of fresh stuff. This is my little freezing drawer, so I freeze everything flat here and then move it over. So that's the salmon that I picked up last week, and a few little bits and pieces down here still to work through, but frozen fruit mainly. Getting to the bottom of all the veggies. Let's go and see what's outside. Alright, outside we've still got some milk, so I probably won't get any milk again this week. Let's see how we go. Someone's been spending their splash cash. A little bit of bread. We still have, there's some egg muffins that somebody can have for a snack. Some donuts that we picked up ages ago. Sometimes you see these marked down, and they're a 12 pack, and I freeze them in little 4 packs so we can have those as a snack. Definitely got to do something with that gnocchi. I think that's going to be happening this week. Some casserole beef back there. Looks like some more casserole beef back there. Pre-cooked sausages ready to go into something. Some more sausages there. This is the freezer that just keeps going. More casserole beef. So lots of things here to create some meals with. I've just got to work out what those meals are going to be. All right, this week's shop has come in just over $50. This is $50.40 today at Aldi, and we have picked up lots of fresh fruit and veg. Now, remembering we still have all of the frozen veg that I bought last week. We've got lots of meat in the freezer, and we're using up all of the things we already have on hand. And this is all just extra stuff, bonus stuff. It's going to make these meals a bit easier. So let's start with the beginning of the day, and I'm starting on the opposite side to where I normally start. This is going to really throw me, but I have picked up some more quick oats. We are running a bit low on that, and for breakfast most mornings we do some sort of oats, whether it be porridge during the colder winter months or overnight oats in summer when it's hot. There's usually something to do with oats. I also picked up some cornflakes for a little bit of a change, but we won't do this every morning. This is just maybe once or twice a week. Most of the time we do oats. Once or twice a week we can do cornflakes. And I also have eggs in the fridge, so we could do some egg wraps or omelets, or we might even do something like pancakes once a week. We sometimes also have special stuff in the freezer if I've managed to pick up something marked down, maybe some crumpets or something along those lines. We might do that once a week, but that's basically breakfast. We'll throw some fruit on. So we've got some bananas. Bananas today at Aldi were $1.99 a kilo. This is about 1.5 kilos. So the bananas cost about $3 for all of these bananas, and there's heaps. I've also picked up some strawberries, which were on special at Aldi today. They were $2.50. And I have picked up some blackberries. These are not for breakfast. We will use these one night for dinner, and I'm going to do a steak and blackberry salad, which is really, really yummy now that it's starting to warm up a little bit and blackberries are in season. These were $3.50. So a little pricey, but not too bad. Lots of salad stuff here today. So the cherry tomatoes were a good price. They were $1.69 a punnet, which is an excellent price. Our tomato plants in the garden aren't producing yet, so we are buying all of this sort of stuff, waiting for the summer vegetable garden to start doing its thing. So 2 punnets there. I've also picked up a cucumber. That was $1.50. Some baby cos lettuce. The 2-pack was $1.99. And I still have some baby spinach, and I've picked up an iceberg as well. That was $1.79, and that is a pretty big iceberg, as you can see there. That's my hand. That's the lettuce. So pretty happy about that. That is going to last us a while. Put that in a Tupperware container, and we will get probably 2 weeks out of that, which will be really good. Truss tomatoes were $3.50 a kilo. This is about half a kilo, so that came in at $1.95, or sorry, $1.85 looking at my receipt. So a couple of tomatoes there. I'll predominantly use the cherry tomatoes for salads. These guys are going to go into wraps and sandwiches and things along those lines. So that's pretty much lunches. Salads, we've got fruit for breakfast and snacks. We'll also do leftovers for lunch, and I picked up some more wraps. So the wraps we will use for lunches and breakfasts if we do egg wraps and things for breakfast, or wraps for lunch, or even wraps for dinner, because, you know, wraps are just versatile. They work for everything. Ham, picked up some ham as well. That was $5 for the 400 gram individual packs at Aldi. And so we'll probably get 2 weeks out of that as well. That'll last for more than just this week. Other things that will last for more than just this week. This is 750 grams of ugly capsicums. So they're not perfect, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 caps in there. That was $3.50. That's a pretty good price. So I will use 1 or 2 of those this week, and then the rest I will cut up and flash freeze and get in the freezer for us to use later on down the track in different meals. In the dairy department, I do still have some milk in the freezer. I just grabbed a 2 litre for this week, and some of our frozen milk will probably carry over, but I've definitely got more than enough and I won't run out, particularly because we've got the cornflakes. We will use a little bit more milk because of that. But that's probably more than enough milk with what I've got on hand, so definitely good there. Won't be running out and have to pop back to the shop. Grabbed another butter as well while I was at Aldi. It is cheaper there and we prefer it, so I've got one of those for the fridge, where we've got an open container that we're using at the moment. So heaps of butter. I've got heaps of cheese in the fridge. I've got a whole 1 kilo block, so I didn't buy another one this week. What I did do was I got some feta for something different to have with our salads. So changing things up just a little bit here. I also grabbed some asparagus. That is on special this week at Aldi. The plan with that is to do a salmon and asparagus pasta. I picked up the salmon marked down last week at Coles. If you want to see everything I picked up in last week's shop, make sure you go and check out last week's video. I will link that up above, up here somewhere. And you can go and see everything that I picked up last week and all of the meals that I pulled together. And for the pantry, some Parmesan cheese. And that's it. And that is my $50. I was so close. I didn't know exactly how much these guys were going to come in at because there was no scale. So I was really guessing, but I was pretty close. I was 40 cents over, and that is my $50 spend for this week. I'm going to get a big batch of what we call lean chili into the slow cooker to cook today. It's going to be a big batch meal, so a lot of this is probably going to end up in the freezer. We will use some of it this week to have for lunches, have some for dinner tonight, but a lot of this is going to go into the freezer for us to use at a later date. Now, this is pretty much just a stock standard chili con carne recipe. It's adapted from a lean chili that used turkey mince instead of beef mince to cut down on the fat, but I'm not really too worried about that. The great thing about this is that it is loaded with vegetables, which is part of the reason why I really like it. So our meat portion today is going to be made from turkey mince and the cauliflower rice, which I'm going to fry off, and I'm going to add some beef stock, which I've just realized I haven't included here, so I have to go and get that out of the pantry. So I'm going to fry off the cauliflower rice with some beef stock cubes crumbled over the top of it, and that's going to give some flavor to the cauliflower rice. And the cauliflower rice and the turkey mince are going to make up the bulk of the meaty part of the chili. You can use turkey. I've done this with chicken, with pork. It all works. It's whatever you can find marked down. So we happen to find some turkey mince marked down. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. And of course, you've got to have some beans, and any beans work really. I've done this with red kidney beans. Today I'm going to use some black beans because that's what I've got on hand. the other thing you're going to want is some tomatoes. And I don't have a lot of chopped tomatoes, so I'm going to use 1 can of chopped tomatoes, and I'm going to use some sweet potato that I cooked up a while ago. I cooked way too much, and this is just mashed. It does have a little bit of butter in it, but that's not going to matter. And I've just popped that in the freezer. So I'm going to use that to make the tomato liquidy part of it go a bit further. Plus I'm going to chuck in some stock as well. And I've done this with leftover sweet potato. I've done this before. I've done it with pumpkin, but don't tell anybody because there are people in my family who don't like pumpkin, but they don't know that it's in there, so it's great. Also going to pop in some grated carrots. I'm going to throw in some corn. I don't think that's going to be enough. So I do have another bag of corn in the freezer. And I'm going to sneak in some kale. So that's going to be the bulk of it. If I can find anything else in there in the freezer to throw in as well, I will. So things like broccoli stalks that we've kept and diced up, they go really well. Any of your sneaky veggies go really well in something like a chili. So keep all of those odds and ends for things like this dish. Now, the flavor. We can either make our own Mexican style flavoring with things like paprika and cumin, chilies, cayenne pepper. My secret ingredient is a little bit of cinnamon. That works really amazingly well. Or if you don't have time for all of that or the inclination, just go and grab yourself a Mexican chili flavored jigger and you'll be right to go. I'm going to be making a big batch, so I don't want to use heaps of this, so I am going to make my own today with the individual ingredients that I have in the pantry. But even taco seasoning or burrito seasoning, you know, it's all going to work. Anything that you've got on hand that's got a bit of Mexican kick will work really, really well in this. Today we're going to get another big batch meal going in the slow cooker. So we have a big, I can't actually see how big that is. It's just over 1 kilo of mince here that we had marked down. And I'm going to cook all of this up in a really basic casserole. It's going to have carrots, some of the sweet mashed potato in there, some celery. I will end up throwing through some frozen veggies towards the end, but not to start off with today. The idea is just to get the base done, and I'm going to do at least 2 meals with it. One is going to be like a cottage pie, so topped with mashed potato and cheese, and the other one will just go in the freezer, and I can use it later on down the track, either just as a casserole itself, or I can use it as a base and expand on it. But today, the really basic recipe, I will link to the one that this is inspired by, but in usual Nikki fashion, I have gone off book, so it's just going to be one of those recipes of my own creation. The flavor is going to come from some beef stock cubes and some soy sauce. I'm also going to be adding in some sweet paprika and a whole bunch of rosemary. We'll be thickening the sauce with some corn flour, and really trying to get the flavor out of the meat basically, and throwing in a bunch of veggies. So I do have some cauliflower rice, another one of those. I'm going to fry that up with some of the beef stock cubes over the top of it, throw that into the casserole, some carrots, some celery, the sweet potato like I said, and anything else that I can find later on. That's going to be the basis, and later on I can add extra things like beans or peas, and just need to warm those through. But that's what we're getting in the crock pot today, and letting it cook while we're out and about, and I'm going to finish the rest of it off later. Organising the fridge today and getting all of the leftovers from the 2 bulk meals that I have cooked so far this week into the freezer. And here's what we're left with. Last night I did the beef cottage pie that sort of had like a casserole on the bottom and mashed potato on the top. I actually made 2 of these dishes. So we had one last night. This is the second one. It's had a little bit taken out of it, but that's going to feed 4 there. Plus I have 2 containers of straight casserole, which are going to go straight into the freezer, and there is another meal there. So we've got 3 meals out of the big batch of casserole that I made with mashed potato and cheese on top. And the night before that, I made the lean chili, which we had for dinner that night. Plus, I've managed to put 4 containers, ready to go containers here. They just need some cheese and some sour cream. And if we have any fresh tomato or lettuce or anything like that, we can have that on top. But this is just rice and chili in there. They're ready to go meals. And I have 2 full containers in here of just straight chili, and we can use this either on nachos, or I mean I could cook another batch of rice if I wanted to, but we could do something different with this and use it in a different way, so we're not eating the same thing over and over again. You know what, this would even make a great base for a cottage pie, and you could put potato on top, but we're not going to do that. This is probably going to make its way onto some nachos, I think. So get some corn chips and do something a little bit different, but keep it sort of a bit Mexican-y. But so that's where we're at. I've made 2 bulk meals this week, and I've basically got 6 meals out of it for our family. So doing pretty well there. And all of this is going to go into the freezer. Or maybe not this. Maybe we'll eat this. Maybe this will be lunch. I'm not sure. But all of that is definitely going into the freezer, and we're going to have some meals ready to go later on down the track again. All right, well there you have it. That was our week in a nutshell. We will be doing one more week next week of our low spend November pantry challenge. So if you would like to see everything that we get up to next week, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so you can be notified when that video comes out. And of course, if you enjoyed today's video, if you like a low spend pantry challenge video, if you like to see all of the things that we pull together from the bits and pieces that we have lying around in the freezer in the pantry, then if you could give this video a thumbs up, I really would appreciate that. It lets me know the kind of content you guys are enjoying and what you would like to see more of. Well, that's it from me. I hope you guys have a wonderful week and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.